shines the dim, dawn, blissful day, for all my night has passed away. Oh, Beulah land, sweet Beulah land, as on the highest mount I stand, I looked away across the sea, where mansions are prepared for me, and view the shining glory shore, my heaven, my home forevermore. My Savior comes and walks with me, and sweet communion here have we. He gently leads me by his hand, for this is heaven's borderland. Oh, Beulah land, sweet Beulah land, on the highest mount I stand, I look away across the sea, where mansions are prepared for me, and view the shining glory shore, my heaven, my home forevermore. On the last, the zephyrs seem to float to me, sweet sounds of heaven's melody, as angels with the white robe throng join in the sweet redemption song. Oh, Beulah land, sweet Beulah land, as on the highest mount I stand, I look away across the sea, where mansions are prepared for me, the shining glory shore, my heaven, my home forevermore. All right, good singing. If I could have a couple ushers come ready. And Brother William, I'm going to turn this over to you because I got to get over there to the kids. All right. Thank you, thank you.
Somebody dropped the watch. All right, if you will, pray for us.
Dear God, take our lives back to God tonight. Lord, I preach, butcher, and upon this offering that we're going to take up that you blessed be you, glorify you, Lord. Preach, butcher, and upon Brother Nathan as he's getting ready to bring his message, Lord. Preach, give him the words that we need here, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Man. Let me see. All right, he's done all the singing. So first we're going to do prayer requests. Got any prayer requests on this side? Bill Moore. And Shirley. Let there be light. See, Pastor don't get this. He don't get the light shining on him. Just kidding. Anybody else? Miss? For rehab? Okay. All right. And your sister who? Shaylin? Sheila, okay. Anybody on this side? Unspokens. I know I got a pile of them. Praise God. I'll just pray for Zambia, the children in Zambia, all of Zambia. Anybody else? Brother McCoy, would you consider praying over these prayer requests? Amen. All right. Well, I'm not as good as the pastor, so I'll keep it short, sweet, and almost to the point. I want to bring my son up here and let him give y'all an update and give y'all some encouragement, even if he is on Zambia time tonight.
Whew. Guys, I'm struggling. It's 1:15 in the morning at home. I've been awake for 2 days, so I'm only awake a little now. Whew. Sorry, guys, we'll get myself together here. It's humbling standing here. A year and 2 weeks, my family and I have been in Zambia serving the Lord. I was thinking on the way here about how I got saved at 21 years old, not growing up in church. And shortly after that, I attended my first mission conference. I remember those guys. They all become my heroes in the faith. And to think I would ever be even a little part of what some of those guys were was never in my mind. So to be here is humbling. I didn't really write much of a message. The pastor asked me about speaking tonight. I told him no, because he only asked me just a few days ago. And after my mom and dad and pastor and all left, I got very sick. I've run 24/7 since I've been in Zambia. I've had malaria 5 times, and it takes its toll on your body. I got malaria right after they left, and I took 2 courses of medicine. My body started fighting the medicine and trying to fight the malaria, and I ended up at the government hospital, and so I spent a few days in the bed. So I got very behind on things and trying to catch up. I was working on plumbing projects so I got in the car to come here. So I said, no problem. I'll study on the plane. I got 17-hour plane ride. Well, I got on the plane. The lights were broke on the plane. I couldn't see anything. I tried to read, tried to study. It didn't work. The guy sharing a seat beside me, he spilled his drink all in my lap. So I said, Lord, just give me something. But really, I just wanted to give an update anyway, just kind of let people know where we are, where we're at in the ministry at this point. But I did have just a couple thoughts in my mind. I was just thinking about our job as Christians, and I was just thinking about Jesus and kind of his desire is for the whole world to hear the gospel, the whole world to get saved. And as Christians, we have dreams, right? You know, desires, or whatever we want to call them, things that we talk about, we want to see happen. But until we put actions of those things, that's all they ever are. And Jesus put actions of those things. But not only did Jesus put actions of those things, other people put actions. And through the course of people putting actions to the desire to spread the gospel is going around the world. And when we left here, when we compare budgets, you look at numbers, the average mission board to go to Zambia is $9,000 US a month before they'll let you leave America. And my family and I left here on a very small portion of that. And to get there and see the things that the Lord's allowed us to do and allowed us to be a part of has been nothing short of amazing. We went there to work with an orphanage, and now we're not only working with that orphanage, we're working with 200 bush kids a week. You know, we're sharing the gospel with those young people. We're loving on those young people. And at the beginning of the month on paper, there's never enough money to do what we feel like God's called us to do. But we just keep doing. And when it comes time to pay the credit card bill, the money's always in the bank. I don't know where it comes from, earthly, and I don't care. I don't try to trace it down. I just know it's always there. Most of the time it's never more, not even a penny more than what we needed, but the exact amount is always there. And I just say that to encourage, if you ever feel like God's calling you to do something, don't let resources slow you down. Just start moving. And God will give you everything you need all the way along the way. You know, and maybe there's people that can handle millions of dollars. And maybe he'll give them all that at one time. But he knows if he give it all to me at one time, I'd serve the Lord, but also I'd buy something dumb. So he knows what we can handle, when we can handle it. And as we begin to work with the young people there at the feeding program, we've learned about some of the smaller little villages and little communities way out in the bush. And I began to, I'm a dreamer. And I began to vision and a dream. I could just see a youth ministry, a youth center out in the middle of nowhere. And I just, you know, I was talking to my wife and we were praying. I said, man, it would be nice just to, you know, we could start a youth center here. And those people that can't make it to here because they're way out in the middle of the bush. And we found a piece of land that we weren't really looking for. So my wife and I, we talked about it, we prayed about it, we felt like this is what God wanted us to do. So we actually called my dad, and I said, hey, I need you to check my savings account. We pulled our personal savings, and we bought the piece of land. And within 2 weeks of buying the land, without sharing that with really anyone, I got a phone call on a guy in Florida that doesn't even know me, through a chain of people, said, hey, I got this generator that I want to donate to a ministry in Zambia. Can you use it? This generator's big enough to run a whole town. It was just picked up and loaded in a shipping container. 3 days after that, phone call. The guy said, hey, we got a guy that's got a bunch of money that wanted to put a well in Africa. But the ministry that he was going to send it to already has a well. Can we send you the money to put a well? Do you have somewhere to put it? Just that morning, I had been talking to Dave Barnhouse about the first thing we needed to do before we could start construction was to put a well in. The money is there for a well. Before the end of that week, the money came in to build not only one building, but 2 buildings on the same property. As soon as I get to Zambia, when I get back, first thing we'll do is start hauling supplies, materials to that property, and to be able to start construction on that. So that's kind of the newest, most exciting thing for us is what's going on. You know, my wife and I are as of yesterday, we're putting 3 young bush kids through school. And those little things get challenging sometimes, trying to balance out finances. But to see those kids grow in an education, and there's one of the young girls on our last prayer letter, we talked about her mom and dad both have passed within a year apart. She had nothing, no one. We're in the process of trying to foster her into our home. But the system's a little weird there, so we're working on that. But until she can legally live with us, she's living with a friend of ours that is Zambian, and we're putting her through school there on the property. And a young boy out of the feeding program, he had been coming for a while, and we just kept noticing week after week after week he had the same clothes on, or lack of clothes. And we got to talking and trying to find out a little bit about him. He went to school for 1.5 years. His mom and dad both have, one of them died and the other one's an alcoholic, I believe is the story. So a grandmother tries to raise him, but she has nothing. So she couldn't afford to send him through school. And so he's 8 years old and only has 1.5 years of schooling. So my wife and I, there's a lot of kids like that, and you can't send them all to school. But we just felt like the Lord had put that young boy on our hearts. So yesterday we actually were able to get everything ready and set up for him to re-enter in school and have all the things he needed to go to school. So there's just some of the things going on there in the ministry. There's a lot of small needs, but that's anywhere. It's ministry. We usually don't get focused too much on those because, like I said, God always just supplies when we need them, and you get stressed out if you start trying to hunt stuff down. So we just let God do what God does. I know that was short and basic. Was anybody any questions, thoughts, concerns? My brain is running 100 miles an hour, sorry. So hopefully, once I get back that side, the papers from the chief will be signed, and I can start pretty. But once I start, I think within a month I can have them done. I got a good group of men that have some skills and they're eager to work, and so I think we can jump on it pretty quick and get it done about a month. Yeah, we're hoping to be able to have the first program there by the end of the rainy season, which is about another 2 months. It's starting to slow down now. Wait.
Is the goal to start a feeding program there first?
So the goal is to, as you guys saw the feeding program at Captain Bula, we believe that feeding program is to a point where it can manage itself other than the finances of the actual food. There's ladies there that have been trained to be able to teach the Bible. So obviously we can't be everywhere at one time. So our goal is to start another feeding program at that center, and it'll start as a feeding program, and we'll build from that. We'll use that to build relationships with the community, get to know the young people. There's been a reputation in the past with missionaries, and they're kind of standoffish. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And the Lord really showed us with the feeding program. At the beginning, those kids showed up because they wanted free food. I don't blame them. I do the same thing. But now those kids are there because they want the gospel, and they just want the same love that God gave me, and He gave it to me to give to them. And so that's what I believe the Lord would have us to do. Start as a feeding program and just a basic Bible lesson a week, and grow from there. But our desire is to be able to have youth camps and a center that young people can come to for spiritual help, for any kind of things in that area. But also working with a local church. It's important for everything to be funneled through the local church. So, yes. James?
What are some of the blessings that you've given, hearts of your heart you've given to Zambia people? What impact have the people of Zambia had on you specifically and your children? Or how have your children helped participate and bless your ministry?
Man, it's in so many ways. But just the fact that I'm here and my wife and kids are in the middle of the bush speaks. There's no fear. There's no worry. Those people know we love them, and they love us. There's no other Americans there. And just since I've been gone, there's been people knocking on my door. Madam Eileen, do you need anything? So just in the relationships that we've built with, the Lord's allowed us to build with those people, genuine, based on godly love, is probably been the biggest thing. both of my girls go to the property school with the Bush kids, and that's something that's never been done. And we hear about it all the way in town. Those are the white people that let their kids go to school with ours. And that has moved mountains in building relationships with between us and them. They helped us see. When we left here to go there, we were by other missionaries. We were really kind of schooled, how hard it was going to be. You're going to miss this and you're going to miss that, and you're not going to have any family, and all your friends you're going to be alone. But I've not yet figured out how that's possible, because the same God that loves us loves them. And because they're Zambian, because we're brown skinned, doesn't mean they can't be friends and family and loved ones. And we instantly, within days, the Lord just intertwined our families, and it extended our family. I didn't leave family and go to a far place with no one. The Lord just extended our family, and it's really helped our family to be able to just live life. We feel like we've always been there. Yeah, is that answering questions? Yes, Joe.
I've got a question and then want to make a statement as well, I guess. Is it mostly tribal type deal with the people, or tribes still in the bush?
So there is tribes, but they don't really identify as tribal, but there's villages, and especially out where we are, everything's kind of run under a chiefdomship, and so there is kind of dividing lines there between this group and this group, but it's not as evident as what we have division here in America.
So the chiefs or whatever govern their village, and then they answer to the government, or how's that work?
So technically, the government is over everything, but most of the time they don't ever overstep the chief. Like the president bows to the chief don't bow to the president. And the chief out in Lufanyama, where the feeding program is, she invited me there to work with her young people in her community, and that's how the feeding program started. And so this piece of land is also under her kingdomship, and she's very open and she's very appreciative of the things that we've done with her community, with her people.
The statement that I had is, if you look back over time, back when you were fostering kids here, black kids, white kids, it didn't make any difference. How God really had his hand on all of that, preparing for what he had for you in the future.
I was talking, actually, on the way here, I was able to share the gospel with a young man. His name is Immanuel. He's from Malawi. Him and his wife. His wife is Victoria, is her name. She had kidney stones, but Malawi is even more third world than Zambia, and they have no medical. So they were on the way to India to have the kidney stones removed. But we went through some turbulence, and the plane got really shaky, and his eyes got really big, and I thought he was going to grab my leg. And I said, where are you going? What's the problem? And he said, I've never been on a plane before. And I said, it's okay. And the plane did it again. And I said, what are you worried about? What's the worst that can happen? Are we going to die? And he just looked at me like, you're dumb. Why are you talking about dying? And I said, are you a Christian? He said, yes, I'm a Christian. I said, okay. So why are you scared of dying? And I said, what makes you a Christian? And he gave me a list of things. Just, well, church and God, and I said, well, all those things are nice things, but those things don't make you a Christian. If this plane crashed, are you going to heaven with me or not? And he said, well, I'd like to hope so. And I said, well, if you hope so, you're probably not. And through that, I was able to share the gospel with him and kind of give him my testimony. And he asked me how I ended up in Zambia. And I looked at him and I said, you know, when I was 17 years old, if I knew you when I was 17 years old, I would have hated you. I said, if your skin was brown, you meant nothing to me. And I said, and that was just ignorance and foolishness. I said, but God has a sense of humor because I live in Zambia now, surrounded by no white people. And just to look back at all the silly things in life that, you know, people still today laugh and talk about things that I'd done when I was young. But those things have made life in Zambia normal. You know, we're in our world. You know, that's the place God built us for. You know, it's home. I miss it now. I've only been here a few hours. Anything else? Yes, Wade.
The new building that's being built on the farm, is that supposed to be a new orphanage or expanding the orphanage?
It's expanding the current orphanage. So it'll be part of the same orphanage. It's just expanding to be able to take in more kids. So the two new buildings, our end goal is to be able to turn those buildings into more of like cottage parent style housing. And then the current building where the orphanage is now, hoping to figure out some way to turn it into sort of like a transition home. So when the kids get to an older age, to be able to help them go from orphanage life to successful Zambian life and to be able to be successful in that. It's hard to judge, you know, who you bring in and who there's young girls, I think the one that, I don't remember, you and my dad and Eileen took home that night. The young girl from, what was her name? Denise. She gave Eileen a letter the other day, and it was just talking about how life was, and it said, Madam Eileen, would you and your husband please adopt me and be my mommy? You know, and it's that's a everyday occurrence. You know, and it's sad, but it's also encouraging, because it just helps us see that we're doing what God's called us to do. We're intertwining our hearts with the people. Is that it? Yes.
We came back and mentioned briefly that Taylor's participation in signing. How did he get involved in that? How is that going to be?
Girls. So when we first got there, the family that was living there at the property, the older daughter is in sign language. She was going to college for sign language. And she sat down with Taylor one afternoon, and I think it was a song they started with or something simple. She was just teaching him, and like he grabbed onto it, and within the first month he had passed her, and she had been to school for a year. And he picks up on those things, but he has a desire. He has a heart for the people. He interprets all the church services now. It's helped him learn Bimba. And he asks me all the time about going into the villages and to. There's a lot of deaf people out in the villages too, and he wants to go out and evangelize the villages to bring them into the church. But it's a little difficult because the sign language in the village is not the normal sign language. So there's barriers there that he's working on. But yeah, so that's kind of where he picked that up at, and he loves it. It's really a passion of his. Yes, Opton and Sincere both are certified, educated in sign language, and so they were doing some kind of just, I guess you would call it like private lessons with Taylor, and even now they'll give him one book of the Bible at a time, and he'll have the memorized chapters of it, and go sit with them and sign one chapter at a time of the Bible. I think he just finished First Kings, and of signing the whole chapter of the Bible. Yeah. Huh? Yeah. Yes. He's doing better. He aggravates me with it every night when I'm trying to go to bed. He's practicing. Yeah. All right. So I did want to open the Bible just a little bit, just with a. I'm not going to preach to you. I just wanted to share a little, just some thoughts that I had going into mission conference. I've preached out of Job a few times, and I've preached out of Job 29 when I was talking about the gifts that God's given us. Matter of fact, I think it was the last message I preached before I left here. But I was thinking on missions and generosity. The word generosity, how generosity and mission should be almost the same word. And when you look at how they should be performed. So looking at Job, I just had just three little points, three topics I would just wanted to run over. In Job 29, verse 11 and 12, I just want to look at the expectation of generosity, or the expectation of we can put missions there. And it says, "When the ear heard me, then it blessed me, and when the eye saw me, it gave witness to me, because I delivered the poor." In Job 29, 11 and 12, the people were glad to see Job, for he was a help to them. This is not a greedy expectation, but a genuine, heartfelt recognizing of Job's help, that they loved him, that he loved them. And then the example of generosity in Job 29, 12 all the way through 17. Some examples are given of those who Job helped by his genuine charity. The poor, it says, "I delivered the poor. I was a father to the widow, to the poor." Job was not a penny pincher. He wasn't a selfish, wealthy person. But he looked out for the poor, and he looked for ways to help them. The parentless, the fatherless. Job was a friend to the orphans. The arms of the fatherless have been broken. I'm trying to get this name right. Eliphaaz. Somebody help me out. Yeah. Eliphaz accused him of cruelty to the orphans. The arms of the fatherless have been broken. Job 22:9. Eliphaz never investigated his charges. I must have been sleeping when I wrote this. There are always the cases in which the needy have no source of help. Job stepped in to help in these cases. The perishing. Him that was ready to perish came upon him. When folks had reached the end of their rope, they would go to Job and be sure of getting help. The partnerless. Our calls the widow's heart to sing with joy, sing for joy. This is a reflection of what he was accused of doing. Thou hast sent widows away empty. Again, he was accused without evidence. I was eyes to the blind. Job did not treat the blind unkindly, as so many did. And then lastly, the exemption of generosity. The cause which I knew not, I searched out. Job was so charitable that he looked for and investigated the needy. He looked for situations to get involved in. That was brief and that was simple. But I thought about missions, and when my wife and I were going to Zambia and the things that we felt like the Lord was calling us to do, we've been told by a lot of people in our circle that if you're not a pastor planting a church, you're not really a missionary. You're not doing something we want to be a part of. And it still bothers me, but it used to hurt a lot. But I looked at this, and I looked at all those things that Job was a part of, and I think all those things should be done through the local church, but all those things make the local church effective. All those things is what God used in Job's life to soften the people's hearts, that they would be acceptive to the gospel. And so that was just a thought I had as I was just running some things through my head preparing for tonight. So anyway, that's all I got. Hey, Wade, can you close us in prayer?